Welcome to Waves of Wellness number 7. You guys, I'm super excited. This little group here is growing and thriving and learning together. And it is all about making everyone's life better now instead of waiting post QARC, because we want to develop healthy habits. And so for those of you who might be new, who don't know me, my name is Tracee. I am a health coach and personal trainer. That's my background. But my focus has always been to help people age stronger and healthier instead of sicker and weaker, because my parents chose the latter. So taking a look at them was my motivation to not go down that path. And Cynthia always says that 2023 is the year, the golden year of me. Well, guess what? It's the golden year of you and you and you and every single one of us. So the goal here is to make it better, right? Because if you're not growing, you are dying. And nothing stays stagnant, not even like this. This is a wooden spoon. It is not stagnant. It is constantly vibrating, okay? So what we want to do is we want to focus on growth, and it starts with healthy habits. That is like my big thing, is healthy habits. So today we're going to talk about oral health and how that actually translates to the systemic health of your body. And I came from the dental field. I was there for just about 4 years. And there was a saying that said, only floss the teeth you want to keep. Well, it's like a joke, but it's really not. It's totally true. But there's lots of jokes in dental that most people aren't aware of. Like I remember when my kids were babies and they were told to take fluoride drops. Okay. Well, God had my back because I was told, don't take those drops. They're not good. And my kids didn't like them anyway. So how lucky am I for that, right? The kids did not take the fluoride drops. And what about the poison in the toothpaste? Okay. So I am ashamed to say that my 26-year-old son uses this garbage. And here on the label, which I tried to tell him, says, if more than a pea-sized amount is swallowed, contact poison control immediately. And yet we're putting this in our mouth, and we know that anything that goes on our skin or inside our mouth it's absorbed into your bloodstream immediately. Okay. You don't have to swallow it for it to have a poisonous reaction. It is absorbed on the inside of your mouth. Super easy. Okay. And what about the teeth whitening? So you know what they really do when they're whitening teeth is they're scraping off the top layer of enamel that gets stained so that it can reveal fresh enamel. Well, your enamel is not super thick. So do you want to keep scratching and scraping like some of these people who get their teeth whitened all the time? And then next thing you know, you're going to be down to the dentin layer, right? Which we do not want. And last but not least, root canals. I would never in a million years get a root canal. One time I cracked a tooth because we have a walnut orchard and I got a shell in there. And you guys, it was so painful. It was horrible. And they're like, oh, you need a root canal. I'm like, no, I don't. You just yank out that sucker. And so I'll let Dr. Gloria, who has practitioner experience, reveal the truth about that. Okay. But one thing that you may or may not know is that what I think is really connective here with our discussion about frequency is that your teeth have meridians and they are correlated with organ systems in your body. Okay. So it's the same premise that acupuncture works on. And a lot of people understand acupuncture, but they don't understand meridians. And so if you believe in acupuncture or you're acceptable of it, then you must be acceptable to meridians and things like that, because they're like information highways in your body. And they get these blockages and distortions, and things can happen in your mouth, and that could create all kinds of problems in your body. And Dr. Gloria is going to go deep into that today. So the magic of your teeth has not been well discussed. And when Gloria and I were talking about this before, I was like, isn't it interesting that your wisdom teeth correlate to your heart health? And heart disease is the #1 killer of both men and women. And most of us don't have wisdom teeth. You know, is that correlation or causation? We don't know, but she will cover that later on. So Dr. Gloria has lots of experience and she's going to be talking to you guys very, very soon. But first, I want to ask y'all who has done their homework from last week. So remember, we had Ellen, who we just love and adore, and it was an amazing session. But she taught us how to muscle test. Raise your hand if you did any of the homework, because I want to talk to you about it and see how it helped you. Okay? I want this to be member participation. Thank you. Let's talk to Lori.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Ooh, I did the worksheet, but I tried so hard to find a way that I could muscle test. I couldn't figure out whether I was going forward or I felt like I was making myself go forward and making myself go backward. Then I tried the finger thing and I couldn't tell any difference. Then I tried to visualize. Could I see yes or no in I don't know. I just wasn't too good at it. I couldn't come up with really good answers. I didn't think I did better with the percentage by like visualizing the number. I could do that for the organ systems. And I don't know. I have some, I don't know. I have to keep trying, I guess.
Yeah. And practice makes perfect, like anything, right? So you can also try a pendulum. Like this necklace could substitute as a pendulum.
Okay.
And so what I would do holding a pendulum is I would say, show me yes. And typically, Kelly is really good at a pendulum. And it goes forward and backwards for a yes, mostly. And show me no. And it will go side to side, mostly. And then that could help. And that does take some practice as well. But I really do like that because I hear you. Like I am not good at the finger thing at all, but I can do the leaning back and forth and, all of that. So, but just keep practicing, okay?
How do you know that you're not making yourself do it?
Because you just stand there and relax. And think about this, your inner being inside of you is what is controlling you, right? It's your inner being. We have the spirit of ourselves, and then we have our physical body. So we just trust, it's like our intuition, right? Do you trust your gut feeling, your intuition, when you are experiencing something? To me, it's very similar to that, So it's like that inner feeling, but it's a way for it to express itself that's physical for you to see it instead of just knowing it. So she covered the clairs, right? The claircognizant is the knowing, and that's what I am. I just know things. And so perhaps you're more claircognizant.
Yeah, I think so.
So here's a funny story to share with you guys. So the other day, like people say they dream in color. And the other day I was dreaming and I saw it in color and I was aware of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dreaming in color. And I'm like, I guess I am clairvoyant. I guess I can see things. And I'm saying this to myself while I'm half awake in my dream. So the fun thing about this is we all have all the clairs. They're just stronger in some instances. So the fun part is trying to develop them all. So just keep playing with it. Maybe if you just spend 5 or 10 minutes a day, choosing one that appeals to you the most. And, I like the pendulum myself and the leaning. One of my doctors that I went to about a year ago before QHS, I stopped going to him because of, proof of concept. He used to muscle test me all the time. And when I was having my heart issues, I was having these irregular heartbeats. He determined by testing my organ systems that it is not your heart, it is your adrenals. And so he put me on ashwagandha and B vitamins, and it did go away mostly. But I don't like taking pills. And but he would even test me with the arm. Like I'd be laying down and he would just put something over me or do something. And like my arm was really weak when it was not agreeable with my body, but my arm was really strong when it was agreeable with my body. So this stuff works, you guys. It's just in order for us to play with it and for it to be a tool in our tool belt, we just need to practice it. Okay. And for those of you guys who missed the episode, please contact me and I'll send you a link, or it's in last Friday's newsletter. Okay. So
I also just re-listened to the video and it was really helpful.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Because she went through the whole thing and then I could just kind of, practice again like Ellen. So
yeah, that's awesome. And we have a worksheet, so you guys can always download and print the worksheet up too. So that's cool. Thank you, Lori. Okay, Kathy, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm trying to, there you go. Whoops, I just did that. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm there.
Okay. Hi.
How you doing, Tracee?
Excellent.
This stuff is so helpful. It was fun. It's a lot of fun. I couldn't wait to after the meeting to go and do all this. It was so exciting. So I found that the leaning thing seemed to work sometimes, but it wasn't like my best way to go. But the finger thing worked really good. And then I really enjoyed the pendulum because I use the pendulum anyway. And on the pendulum, I went through every single chakra and I went through all the meridians. I went through all the meridians and all of my meridians were cleared except for my gallbladder. And that's because I don't have one.
Oh.
I don't have a gallbladder. So, and I found out that two of my chakras were chakras, the first and second chakras were blocked. So then I just cleared that quickly. And then I went back and checked it again and it was fine. And so it was really easy using the pendulum.
Cool.
I really enjoyed it and it was easy to do. If you're used to using a pendulum, it makes it easier.
Okay, that's awesome. Did you start doing that a long time ago when we had that class?
Yes.
Okay.
What was her name?
Maggie.
She got me. Yeah. And you know what? It's helped me with everything, spiritually and everything. But you just got to make sure you're following what you're supposed to do, and just don't go in there half-heartedly. You gotta follow it, because otherwise you're not gonna get what you're there for.
Exactly.
So,
and that's just like any habit, right? So we want to do our habits so that they compound and grow exponentially. And that is the same with this muscle testing. So awesome.
Yes,
okay.
And I've also found that my spirituality has just blown up. Because without the pendulum, I do my meditations, and then sometimes I use the pendulum and sometimes I don't. But sometimes I mix it up. You just have to kind of find what's right for you.
Right. True.
But
like everything.
It works good.
And just what you just said, what works for you. So you guys, we are all bio-individual. And there's an old saying that says one man's food is another man's poison. And that literally goes for everything. So there's no one size fits all. So we all need to listen to our own bodies and see what resonates the most with each of us. Okay, thanks, Kathy. Last one, Jorgen, go ahead.
Hey, I'm just using my intuition. If I am stressed and fight as without pain, I just look at the grocery and it will tell me if I should buy it or not. For many years, I used a pendulum, and for 20 years, I was with a very wise woman who do this muscle test, and I was very impressed at that time. But now it's be in my heart, be present. I can easily see or feel what I should buy or not. Otherwise, I can use my hand. I have healed a lot with Reiki, and my hand get warm if I should buy it or not. And if I am in the brain, I buy what I in the past want, but not now. So it's very interesting. It's very important to, as we know here, we are going quantum. We need to be present and be leading by our heart, and it will always tell us our truth. And it's normally not your truth, but it's mine truth. And we need to navigate after that. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. We heard your story yesterday, and that was just a big, fat, juicy bravo. Can't wait to have you back on a testimonial. That was just so amazing, Jorgen. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, awesome. Let's move on. And thank you guys for sharing your testimonials. I love that you do your homework. So I want you to, if you have a notepad, really quick, just jot down your habits that you do right now for oral health, such as flossing and brushing and whatever else you do. I'm sure it's not going to be a massively long list. So just think about that right now. because at the end of Dr. Gloria's presentation, I'm hoping that we can mix that up a little bit. And so Dr. Gloria, so most of you guys know her, but here's what I want to tell you. She's a naturopath and a homeopath, and she's had a clinical practice for a couple decades. She also spent a lot of time in the dental industry. And as you know, she had a culinary institute. So if you didn't hear it yesterday, we started a new thing. So it's called WoW Can Cook. And every Tuesday we'll have a cooking show that you can watch. So today she's going to talk about a recipe. She's going to give you a quick little teaser of what we're going to give you the ingredients for at the end of the show. And then that will be on our YouTube on Tuesday. So go ahead, Dr. G, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Tracee. I want to make one comment about all of the muscle testing. I have problems with it too. And the only thing that works for me is what Jürgen was saying. If I put my hand over something, I can feel the vibration or the heat. This doesn't always work. And I can't do the leaning forward and backwards. But boy, if I put my hand over something, and in a restaurant, especially when I traveled a lot, it wasn't as conspicuous. I felt good because it just looked like I was praying, which I was. I was asking for guidance. But some of you that have trouble with it, it's because our brains are so wound up, right, Lori? Our brains are so wound up that we can't seem to focus them in so that it works. I can't do that. It's like when I went in for some, actually I was in a study, and they wanted to see if AAA personalities, which they classified me, could be hypnotized, and they couldn't hypnotize me. And that was why. So pay attention to that. Your body talk never lies. So if you whatever modality you use, it's like exercising. So at first it's a little hard, right, Tracee? And you get sore muscles and you're not so sure you should continue to do it. But as you do it, you'll fine tune it and you'll find which one works for you. So that's really important, especially in some of the things I'm going to tell you now. So
all right. So what we're going to do is you're going to talk about the Mulahara. I think that's how you say it.
No, and anybody that speaks Arabic is going to say you're not saying it right, but it's muhadara or muhadara, Mujadara. It is basically a Middle Eastern dish, Lebanese origins, and the recipe is one that I absolutely love. And Tracee was like, I don't think you were real sure you were going to like it. It's so simple. It has one spice, so you don't have to go out and buy a whole litany of spices for it. And you can add protein. I'm not going to tell you what's in it because it's a one dish meal. You literally throw everything together. You have a little trick, which is crispy onions on the top that Tracee did yesterday. Doesn't it make a difference?
Oh my gosh.
Tracee?
Okay. So I don't eat any carbs, but I pigged out on it. I did make I made some bison to put it on top because I need my protein, but holy cow, it was so good.
I make it with rice and sometimes with quinoa because I don't eat rice very often because of the blood sugar. I don't have candida anymore, thank God. But my blood sugar just does not do well with rice. I mean, it just spikes something awful. But Tracee went ahead and humored me and had it. And then she added some bison. And you can do that. You can add ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, whatever. But it's an easy meal. And the only spice you're going to need is cumin. I'll tell you that much. The rest of it is normal things, onions and garlic and some broth. And so the recipes will come out on Friday. That gives you, and that was Tracee's idea, and I think it's great. If it comes out Friday, you can either experiment and cook it that weekend, or you can use it to go grocery shopping. And then you'll see the video on how we do it with a lot of humor and some little mistakes here and there, but it's live. It's filmed live on Tuesday. Yeah. On Tuesday. Well, I'm not cooking, so I've got the best part of it. I have to experiment and make the recipes, but she has to cook and clean up and prep. And yes.
Next week is the Korean beef. We goofed again.
Well, you're the one that said that one, so okay, we goofed. Sorry.
That's Tracee. Tracee always makes mistakes. Okay, we'll cover that at the end. Let's get into the dental stuff.
At the end, okay.
And then we'll talk about the Korean beef since we had fun. Okay, just so you know, I am always like this. Okay, so my family used to call me when we were at Disneyland. My kids, we were doing this thing, and I said, "What Disney character do you think you're most like?" And the reason I was doing that is because my son was being an Eeyore. My youngest son was just being a total Eeyore. And he looks at me and he goes, I don't know what I am, but you're Dory. You guys know who Dory the fish is? Well, that's me.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Okay.
So she's swimming around from different things, is I think what she's trying to say.
Yes, I'm a little nutty. Okay, so the way these interviews are going to work is that most of you guys know that the reason I'm here is because I interviewed Cynthia for my podcast, and I no longer have the show because now I'm here full time. But so the style of this presentation is going to be very interviewee style, and that way we can get deeper into our guests. And always there's new people. So some of you may have heard Dr. Gloria's story before, and some of you haven't. So, but you haven't heard her dental story before. So Thank you, Dr. Gloria, for coming on here again. You are my co-host and sidekick. And
thank you.
Can you just share a little bit about why and how you got involved in the dental industry? A little background.
I will, and I'll make it as quick as possible. My mother was a heavy smoker, an alcoholic, a very severe alcoholic, and abused prescription medications. And I was the first child and first grandchild. So when I was conceived, I ended up with horrible teeth from the time the first tooth came out. So every 3 to 6 months, I had to be at the dentist, and guess what they filled it with? Silver amalgam fillings, right? I was born in 47, so all through the 50s and early 60s, that's what they did. And at age 5, I went to live with my grandparents, my father's parents, full time, because I was scared to death of my mother. Not my dad. He was a happy drunk. We wanted something, we'd wait till dad had a few drinks, and then he'd give us anything to shut us up. But not mom. She was a very, very aggressive drunk, I could say. And so grandma had me at the dentist every 3 to 4 months. And we became like family. I mean, that dentist became a friend of my grandmother's and grandfather's. He'd come for holidays. He was an older gentleman, widowed. And he's the one that piqued my interest in dentistry, because here I am at age all the way, and I don't know exactly, but probably the age of 7 to 10. And he'd do something, and I'd say, well, why are you doing that? What is that? Well, you have to do this to do this. But why are you doing that? That hurt. Well, then I have to give you more anesthetic. Well, what's anesthetic? So he finally said to me, you need to go into dentistry, young lady, as many problems as you've got. So that started me on the path. And then I decided to go to dental school. But at that time in California, you could actually be a hygienist with training in dental school without having to go 4 years. You could do it in a shorter period of time, and it was a certification at the time. Loma Linda University had it, and that's where I went. I ended up working for a doctor who was the top researcher at Loma Linda, and that's how I became the researcher that I am, the health detective. I dig and dig and dig. And I hope that I inspire all of you to start learning to not take somebody's word for it, like all of our, regular media. We've all learned not to listen to what they're saying, do our own research. If they say LA was just bombed, LA wasn't bombed. It was a picture of some other state or some other country, unless it really was bombed. And usually they don't tell you that. So it's the same thing with your health. I want to encourage you and empower you. If you're going to buy a toothpaste of some kind, do your research. And my grandmother didn't know anything different at that time. She was a midwife and a herbalist. We ate very healthy, but we didn't know what was affecting the dental work. I had migraines to where I was hospitalized constantly with IVs to get rid of the migraine. Little did I know until I studied and went to Loma Linda that those migraines were connected to all the amalgam and the fillings that I had every 3 to 4 months. So everything is connected. Not only that, there was also additives in the food that I was literally living on, Campbell's soup with MSG and grilled cheese sandwiches, because that's about all that agreed with me with a nervous stomach that I had at the time. Anytime there was a stress, I couldn't eat. And that's the only thing that settled, or some mashed potatoes. Can you imagine? So I lived on those 3 things for a long time as a child. And so then I got married, was in dentistry, got married, and little did I know that I was going to end up owning and starting a dental supply and equipment company. My ex-husband had come back from Vietnam. At that time, he was my husband, of course. and was going to go back into the shoe business. And I said, no, you're not. You're going to go into dentistry, because all the dentists that I work for have equipment that when they trade it in, you know, for tax purposes, for write-offs, they would get, okay, let's just say like a used car. You pay $50,000 for a piece of dental equipment or an x-ray machine or a panoramic x-ray, and they'll give you $10,000 on a trade-in. But they didn't care because it was a write-off on their taxes. So guess what? Dr. Gloria bought all of the used equipment from everybody, stuck it in our garages, had to build 4 more garages, and that's how we started the dental supply and equipment company. We'd refurbish them and sell them to the dentists coming out of dental school that couldn't afford, and especially in Mexico, they'd come across in vanfuls to where we had a warehouse eventually to buy equipment. So dentistry was a big part of my life until I went back to school for natural health, because I realized that everything we were putting in our mouths was toxic, that was taught in dental school. And so I started leaving dentistry little by little, designed buildings, designed dental offices, because I knew they were all having, ergonomic problems. And that all led to what I'm doing today. To the researcher and the detective that I am, because nobody would give me the answers. Like, why are you putting fluoride on? Well, you have to protect your teeth. Fluoride is toxic. That's why they're putting it in our water systems. So that's how I got into dentistry. Pardon?
So when you were in clinical dentistry, what were some trends that you discovered that were unhealthy for our body? So when any of our listeners are at the dentist, that they can say, oh, no, thank you. Like, what things do you see in the chair?
That's a great question. Thank you. I hadn't thought about it that way, Tracee. The first thing is the fluoride, of course. Fluoride is a poison. You do not need it. It's a byproduct of the industry, of industrial industries. Number 2, I used to clean teeth. Remember, considered a hygienist. Till years later, they changed that and I couldn't clean teeth anymore. But I could do all of the rest. I could give the fluoride treatments. I could clean teeth. I could scale at that point. So what happens when you're cleaning teeth? They're scraping the enamel. They're scraping the tartar off of your teeth, right? But even though they have that little aspirator in your mouth, all that bacteria is going into your system. And at the time, that's all we had. Okay? So consequently, a lot of people would get infections afterwards, maybe 4, 6, 8 weeks later, but never connected it to the fact they just had their dental work done, their dental cleaning. So that's why whenever I would clean somebody's teeth or we would do a major procedure, but even specifically for dental cleaning, for prophylaxis, you had to take an antibiotic beforehand. Have any of you had to do that because you had a heart condition? Tracee, did you have to take an antibiotic?
Never.
Before you had your teeth cleaned? Never.
But is
that's a big practice.
Is that like a regular prophy or is that a deep cleaning? I've never.
No, it's a regular prophy, especially a deep cleaning or any kind of, deep cleaning. The fancy names don't matter. But deep cleaning is, and I'll explain that in a minute. You've got a graphic that we're going to show everybody. But the cleaning, regardless, they can't take all of that plaque off without getting under the gum line. So whether it's deep cleaning or not, deep cleaning means it's going down below to where it's actually starting on the root. A regular cleaning is scraping the tartar right at the root, at the bottom of the tooth, right as it goes into the gum line. So what does it do? Remember, for those of you that have heard my presentation on the lymphatic system, the rebounding and the dry skin brushing and all of that. Well, the lymphatic system is all connected in here for the head, the neck, and the mouth. So what happens? You're putting all that bacteria into your lymphatic system. And that is more expansive than your blood circulatory system. So you're poisoning yourself. It wasn't until years later that they came out with what they call a laser probe. And that sterilizes the tooth quadrant by quadrant. If I was doing hygiene today, that's what I would insist to do. And that means that it's a little silver wand is all it is. It's probably the size of my index finger. And they will, if you're real sensitive, they'll anesthetize you a little bit. But they take that probe and they go around the outside and the lingual, which is the inside, and sterilize that section of the mouth. Have you had that done, Tracee?
No, never heard of it.
And a lot of dentists are doing it now. you can look online and say, you know, in your area and see which dentist does laser prophylaxis or laser cleaning. And so that sterilizes all the bacteria, anything that's in there that's bad for us. Then they take the probe and change the head of it, just like you would a dental instrument. And then they go back in and it starts cleaning. You know what the machines are, the ultrasounds that vibrate, which I hate, but you don't feel the vibration. It's just a funny little sensation, like a tickling on the teeth, and everything's just coming off. And because it's been sterilized, you're not putting it into your lymphatic system or swallowing it. So they do that quadrant by quadrant. Well, by the time I had that done, it was too late.
So far, there's two things. One is the fluoride, which you have to be careful because the paste that they use to clean your teeth, some of it has fluoride. So you need to say that right away, that you want fluoridated paste. Okay. So number 2 is, I've never heard of this one before. So the laser cleaning to sterilize.
Laser dental cleaning or laser prophy.
So prophy is called prophylaxis, which is like
prophylaxis
cleaning.
Right. Prophylaxis is preventive. You're right. It's proactive. And so prophylaxis is the big word. Prophy is when you go in to get your teeth cleaned, you're going to get a prophy. But it's all the same thing. It's just different terms medically and you know, but fancy terms to make it sound like you don't know what it is.
Then there's deep cleaning. There's deep cleaning. That's different.
Yes, and that can be scaling or deep cleaning. That is when you already have gum disease, periodontal disease, and you're going, the hygienist or the doctor is going below the gum tissue to be able to get all that junk out because the gum is starting to separate. Okay. So can you show the slides one at a time without showing all of them?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Let's go to the first one while we're on lymph. And I want to explain to you why it's so important you do not get your teeth cleaned the regular way. Not nowadays. No, go to the first one.
Oh,
that's the last slide. Go to number 1.
That's it.
Okay. So look at that slide and look at the connection. This is just your major lymph nodes and a very small representation of it in just the neck, the head, and the mouth. So anything that happens in your mouth is going to happen not only in your body, but in your head. And that's where I was getting migraine headaches because I was literally being poisoned by the mercury. Every time when you have a mercury filling or a toxic filling of any kind, every time that you chew, you're magnifying that and it's going into the body. It's not like it stops. Yeah, Tracy's going, yeah. It's not like you've got the filling, it's a solid metal. No, every time you chew, you're getting some of that effect. So look at the neck part. Look at those 4 dots right at the neck. Many times we have what we think is a sore throat way down there, or we have a neck that's like, wow, did I sleep wrong or whatever? No, it's swollen lymph nodes. And if you start feeling that, the best thing you can do is get that lymphatic system moving with your rebounder if you have one, a very gentle dry skin brushing, or you know what's best? Just plain old coconut oil because it's anti-inflammatory. Massage some coconut oil in there like you would any kind of a massage cream and get that moving to where it's not sore anymore. It really works. But this is just to emphasize the importance and the collection of lymph nodes in that particular part of the body. Okay, we can go to the next one now if you would. Number 2. Okay, this is a gross picture, but it tells a huge story. This is very expensive dental work. Those are porcelain crowns you see there on the right side. And they were over 20 years old. So you go in for the doctor and they say, well, there's no decay, there's nothing wrong, but your gums are all inflamed. You can't figure out why. And the x-ray, doesn't matter if it's a panoramic or a regular, individual x-ray, does not show anything. But look at what's happening. The gum is pulling away as you get older. And when it starts pulling away, all of that bacteria starts going into your lymphatic system, right? Okay. That lymphatic system is connected to all of your body with more pathways, more freeways than your blood circulatory system. Now, let's go to the next one. That's why the inflammation. But you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. There was no evidence, even though there was a tremendous amount of inflammation And there was a tremendous amount of even oozing stuff out because look, here's what happens. I think this is one of the best graphics I've ever had for teaching. Because now, as that inflammation gets more, it pulls away from the tooth, and look at where the periodontal pocket is. So when Tracee mentioned deep scaling, that's what that is. That's already pulled away. They've got to get in there below the gum line in order to scrape what's in there. But look at the inflammation that's causing that balloon effect that you saw in that picture previously. Okay, so all of that, if you see all the little lines going down, in the tooth, it's the nerve. In the tissue, it's connecting all of the vessels to the lymphatic system and to the blood system. So you're literally poisoning yourself. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Wait a minute. I don't know if I want to do the next one yet. No, let's not do that one yet.
Okay.
Okay. So we can go off of that. Thank you. I hope that helped all of you to visualize it, because I think they're pretty darn good graphics. They're graphics that I use for teaching when I'm in dental schools, not dental schools in the U.S., only out of the U.S. They don't allow me to teach here because I'm not a DDS. So I've taught in other countries.
Okay, so now
what happens is,
now you've covered three things. I just really want to keep summarizing this for you.
I want a fourth one. I want a fourth one.
We'll get there. So first was the fluoride. Second is the bacteria that they're releasing with your prophy. Okay. Third is the amalgams. And I'm going to say something really quick. Is that really sad? Do you know that Medi-Cal, which is like for lower income people, at least here in California, I'm sure your own states have something else, they will only pay for mercury fillings.
Right.
Okay. So what does that tell you? That to me is really sad, because so much of us let our health insurance determine what we're actually going to put inside of our body. Because like my chiropractor, one of my friends says, yeah, well, he doesn't take my insurance. Well, he is an amazing chiropractor that specializes in things that she needs. So my point of saying this to you is, how sad is it that if you're low income, your dental insurance won't pay for the better stuff to put in your mouth? Okay. So we've covered three. What's number 4?
Okay. Number 4 is, what are you using to rinse your mouth with? Hopefully it's not, and I can't mention any kind of brands legally here, but you know which ones I mean. I mean, they're mint flavored and they're citrus flavored and they're whatever. You don't need that. If you're using some of the toothpaste combinations that Tracee and I have talked about and that we'll talk about in this show, because I have some comments about all the formulas that are going around on our blogs. You don't need that. If you brush your tongue, the next thing is you've got to brush your tongue. People don't know that there's tongue brushers, that there's little gadgets that you buy, where the toothbrushes are, and it just scrapes. It's a tongue scraper, and it gets all of that junk off of there, which is what causes bad breath and bacteria to stay on there and affect the teeth and the gums. So those are the things that you would be aware of. But do not accept, if you're having inflammation like that one tooth that I showed you, that quadrant, and you're having sensitivity, or you're getting any kind of oozing of any kind of fluid out of your tissues around your teeth, don't let them tell you there's nothing wrong with it. If you have a crown of any kind, a gold crown, a porcelain crown, a silver crown, I don't care, because the x-ray doesn't go through. That was my tooth you just saw. It's disgusting. That was my tooth. And they kept telling me there was nothing wrong. And finally, I said, very, very, not very nice, damn it, you're going to take the crown off and you're going to see what's underneath it, and I'll take responsibility. And they handed me a piece of paper and said, you have to sign here, because we can't remove any crowns under the American Dental Association unless we have something showing on the x-ray. Right, Tracee? Because they consider it malpractice.
Yeah,
that they're trying to sell you another crown.
I also want to say that when you decide that you don't want heavy metals in your body and you want the amalgams replaced, don't make the same mistake I did. I just went to my regular dentist, who I thought was smart and healthy and all of that, and she removed my amalgams. But later, I found out that she did not remove it safely. So all of the dust got into my body. And so I have a heavy metal. I think I've gotten rid of a lot of it, but you don't want mercury in your body.
That's heavy metal. No,
it's heavy metal.
No, you don't want any of those metals. So even the gold, you don't want it in your body.
So if you have any of those that you want to get removed, you want to go to a biological dentist, and then they will put hazmat suits on, no joke, with an oxygen mask.
And rubber dams and a rubber dam on your mouth.
Yeah. And they take major precautions. So another funny I want to cover really quick before she goes is, So, oh gosh, I have so many stories. So do you know those masks that we were told, oh, you need to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. Well, in dentistry, they have 3 ratings of masks. They have level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 mask, which is what everybody was wearing during COVID, is good for 30 minutes. Okay. So tell me those work. So, yeah, and the mercury removal. So, you've heard of Mad Hatter's disease, right? It was happening in felt hat factories that they would go crazy. Well, there is a correlation because do you know that dentists have the highest suicide rate? It makes you wonder, like, were they going crazy because of the mercury that's coming into their body because of procedure over procedure over procedure, right? So that could be it too. Okay, so, sorry to interrupt. I just had to put those in there.
And on that note, on that note, my ex-husband was, most of our friends socially were dentists or hygienists, and 2 of my ex-husband's best friends, who he played racquetball with every week, committed suicide. You would have never known it. We used to go out socially. They played all week, every week, and I mean, it took my ex, who was not a person to show emotion. It took him a good 6 months to get over that because they committed suicide within about 6 or 8 months of each other. So yes, that is very, very true. Okay, so let me go back to this for a minute, because now we've covered what you should know, but you also need to be aware that when, I'm going to go back to my dentist. So I have pictures of this, but it's so disgusting I won't even show it. When he removed that gold crown that had been in there since I had it done at Loma Linda by the best dentist, okay, he had a camera. I don't know if your dentist do, but he had a camera. They film everything for legal purposes. And I wanted to make sure the camera was on. And when he removed the crown, the blood squirted out of the tooth and hit the wall on the other side. The gold crown, it wasn't a porcelain crown, it was a gold crown. The gold crown had been put on top, but when they cleaned out the decay with the silver filling, they left some in there. So all of that deteriorated, went right through into the nerve, and I could have died. Because, and I've got the pictures of it, so if somebody wants to see it in the future, I'm happy to show it. I use it when I'm teaching dental students. But it literally went into my system to poison me and into my lymphatic system. Is it any wonder I have lymph issues right now, that many years later? So I wish I would have had a picture of his face, because he was like, because the x-ray was showing nothing. And this was all decay that had gotten underneath the crown, okay, eaten away at the inside. It looked like a volcano, but the x-rays did not show it. So do not be led astray if you've got symptoms. I kept having all that inflammation and kept screaming, there's something wrong. I'm educated in dentistry. What's going on? Oh, no, nothing shows, and we can't legally remove it unless something shows. So I signed a disclaimer, and he granted me the removal of the crown. And then he wanted to put another bridge, and I said, no, just extract it. I'm like Tracee. I said, no, I know too much. Just take it out. The dentist was very good, I have to say.
Let's do the last slide. Okay, the last slide.
Okay.
Because we have to come up with solutions. We've talked about all these problems. Let's talk about solutions.
I know. Well, we have to talk about the problems to find the solutions. So here is what most of you have done. And please don't freak out if you have a bunch of root canals, because I know several of you do. They say it's non-toxic. We're going to take the root out. It saves your tooth. But it is toxic, because you see the ingredients there of what is in gutta percha, which is the putty-like substance that they use to fill the canal after they take your nerve out. That way it forms the foundation for the tooth, so you don't have to lose it. But look what's in it. It's all toxic, which is why I never, thank God, in my 76 years, had a root canal. I had to have extractions, and of course that has its challenges too. I'm not going to say it's fun, and not having your own teeth. But I had no choice at that point because there was decay underneath all my expensive dental work, which was over $100,000 worth of porcelain crowns. So when they say it's not toxic, you know better. Don't allow that to happen. And the way you can avoid this is by keeping those gums clean, finding a dentist that does the laser cleaning or a hygienist so that they can sterilize all that bacteria before they start scraping. Yes, you need your teeth cleaned, but you need them cleaned properly so that you're not distributing bacteria throughout your body. Does that help you all to understand at least the basics? Okay, Tracee, you've got a recipe that I like for toothpaste, and you all saw my writing about using salt because it really does whiten your teeth and it helps. But you had a recipe. Would you tell us what you had in there? Because I have a comment to make about it. You're freezing, dear.
I know.
I know.
Oh,
she
shoot.
freezes. You're okay. Go ahead.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Yeah, you're okay. Go ahead.
This computer. I need a new computer. Okay. So I made this. Basically what it is it's 1/4 cup of coconut oil. I'll share the recipe. You don't need to write it down unless you want to. A teaspoon of a quality salt. And I used, oh goodness, I think Celtic sea salt. And then 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And I put 7 drops of peppermint essential oil in there. And do not melt the coconut oil. Just get it a little bit soft and creamy. Because if you melt it, the salt and baking soda sinks to the bottom. So I did that originally. So what I had to do was soften it, let it go in the fridge and then bring it out to the counter to soften it more. And then I stirred it up again and now it's good. Alternatively, I use Dr. Bronner's toothpaste, which you can't see because I have no video. Lovely.
Right.
Can you guys see that, Dr. Bronner's?
No, it's okay.
I like their brands.
Did you check all the ingredients?
No, Mom.
Okay.
No, but I know that they're fluoride free. I know that I've checked it a long time ago. I just can't see it right now because they put too much writing on their stuff. But I know that it's fluoride free. And so anyway,
just really
go ahead and say what you want to say.
I need to make a comment. Exactly what formula she gave you is really good. Okay. I put the coconut oil next to the stove when I'm cooking something else and it melts enough that you can mix it. And I use a little whip and it mixes it. The one thing I don't agree with, and this is the good part about this kind of conversation, is we can agree to not agree. How many of you here use homeopathic remedies or homeopathic medicines on a regular basis or occasionally? See how many? Are you aware if you use any peppermint, any kind of mint at all, it completely counteracts your homeopathics? You cannot use mint toothpaste, mint gum, mint essential oils, nothing that has the mint family, because if a child got a whole bottle of homeopathic and swallowed it, the way you counteract it is to make a really strong cup of mint tea. Peppermint, any kind of mint. So if you're putting in drops, and I've made a list of the 3 best ones, clove oil is phenomenal because it reduces gum inflammation. Now, remember, it has to be organic, pure essential oil. It reduces sensitivities. Now, that's clove, C-L-O-V-E. And it's a natural ability to restrict the growth of bacteria. So if you have a little bacteria there, it doesn't let it continue to grow, okay? The second one is oregano oil, and you've all heard the benefits of that. I think even, Tracee, you've talked about it before. It's a powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and it boosts your immunity, so you're getting a lot of benefits. And the last one that has very similar effects is tea tree oil. That will not affect your homeopathics. But, I use homeopathics 80-90% of the time. The rest of it is herbal. And if you do, you're wasting your money because you may get a little bit of an effect if you're taking something for arthritis or allergies or whatever, but you're sabotaging yourself because you're wasting your money and your effort, because anything that is a mint is used to counteract the the homeopathics. Okay, so just remember also, if a child gets a hold of a homeopathic, whether it's the little pellets that the health food stores sell or a liquid, just give them a really strong cup of mint tea. So I always told my mothers with young children, always have organic mint tea in tea bags or loose or whatever. Keep a little canister of it, because if your children should get it, you can have a problem, but that way you remediate it immediately. Okay. That's
Perfect.
The only comment I had about that's your Dr. Mom comment.
I love it. I love you.
Can't put peppermint oil.
So the other thing I want to say is I love these types of things. They're like picks and cleaners and different things to be just keeping your gums clean.
Great.
2 more things. Water picks are wonderful. You can floss and brush and then use a water pick and you'll still see things coming out. Okay. And lastly, I want to tell you my favorite toothbrush for people to use at home is a Oral-B brush. And the reason is because what it does is the action of the Oral-B goes in, out, swish, swish. So it goes in to grab a hold of whatever's on your tooth, remove it, and then swish it away. So you want to hold it on each tooth surface for 5 seconds at a time. So it takes about 2 minutes to brush your teeth. And you just hold it, and just like hold it there for a second, and then move it to the next one, and then move it, and just let it go through each tooth surface. So on the external, underneath, the bite side, and then the internal. So there's 3 surfaces of most teeth, right? So outside, inside, and then the tops. And so that is really helpful. What else would you like to add to that?
I want to add one more thing. If you are having inflammation, the least expensive, healthiest way to rinse your mouth or even dip your toothbrushes in it is plain old hydrogen peroxide, $1 a bottle, because it kills everything. And you've probably seen some of the videos where one of the professors talks about how to spray it and inhale it so that it can kill bacteria and viruses. It kills everything. So I literally always have about 12 bottles of hydrogen peroxide in my house, no matter where I am. Because if something comes around and it's dangerous, the hydrogen peroxide will take care of it. And so for the teeth, it's going to bubble up. If you have an infection, if it's a little bit of inflammation, it's going to bubble up, but we want it to. That means it's killing the bacteria that's there. So stock up on hydrogen peroxide, because the rumor I've heard in my circles is it's going to be by prescription only before too long, unless our entire system changes. And I just bought some for 88 cents at my grocery store at HEB here in Texas. So stock up on it. It's cheap. It doesn't have a shelf life. Comes in a dark plastic bottle. Just stick it in the bottom of your linen closet somewhere. Just don't put it in the garage where it gets hot if you're in that kind of climate. But that's one of your safety measures. That's really good for your mouth. You can rinse with it. Don't dilute it. Just don't swallow it. And if you do a little bit, it's okay, because actually, if you're trying to kill a virus in your lungs, for instance, like when COVID was there, you just spray some into your mouth, take a deep breath, and on the inhalation, you spray it, and then you just breathe out, and it works. So there's no danger if you swallow a little bit, but I'm not telling you to take a teaspoon of it, okay?
So I have a question about that. Do you need food grade hydrogen peroxide?
Yes.
So
food
it needs
grade.
To be food grade. And that was only 88 cents?
Yep. I paid 88 cents at our grocery store. Now at some of the bigger ones, I think it was $1.49 at like Whole Foods. But the food grade was 88 cents.
Okay, cool. And what about oil pulling? What is your opinion on that?
I love oil pulling, and I tried everything when I had all the problems with my teeth. Oil pulling with coconut oil literally pulls out. It's like a magnet. It pulls out the bacteria. But like I said, I tried everything, and as a last resort, I just said, remove it. I can't deal with this, because it was poisoning my body. I felt it. Even my skin color was starting to get a funny color. And I don't have bad skin color normally. So oil pulling is good. You just have to do it religiously. If you do it, once a week, I'm going to do it. It isn't going to work if you've got some gum disease, or you're having to go too often to get your teeth cleaned because you're building a lot of plaque. You need to do it maybe 3 times a week. Doesn't take long. Just swish it through your teeth, force it through your teeth. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So that kind of wraps up our little presentation. We're going to do a Q&A for those who want to stay. And your homework is to create a new list. So we already said at the beginning to write down your oral habits that you do, but your homework is to write a new list and to weave in some of the suggestions that we've made here for you today. And then next week, come back and see what you added in. And you know what? Here's the deal, you guys. I believe that healthy habits, you just want to do one thing at a time. And that way you're not overwhelmed. And once one habit becomes like a no-brainer, it just becomes a ritual for you, then add in another one so you're not overwhelmed. And before we ask questions really quick, why don't you, oh gosh, Gloria, the ingredients for this recipe is going to be so many. Let's just have them wait until tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, we can't get the ingredients for that, but it will be coming out. Yeah, it's a Korean beef that's delicious. You can serve it over rice. I serve it over quinoa or brown rice so that I reduce the carbs. And it's phenomenal. I used ground beef to make it easy rather than you can use ground bison. But you should use a red meat if you can tolerate red meats, if you eat it, to start with so that you get the true flavor. But the sauce is habit forming, literally habit forming. You can adapt it. The Koreans do. You can put some peas in it or whatever, but make it the way the recipe is the first time. It's amazing. And make extra sauce. Add some extra broth for extra sauce because it's great served over just steamed vegetables. It's great. Oh, I was telling Tracee, I said I have leftover mashed potatoes from white sweet potatoes or from cauliflower because I make them from both. And I just pour the gravy, the sauce right over them. It's so good. So make extra sauce. So Fridays, the recipe will be published. And then it gives you time to do the shopping, collect your ingredients, and the following Tuesday, you'll get the recipe. Okay?
No, they get the recipe Friday.
The video.
The video.
Friday, see how it's cooked on Tuesday, the video, right?
And so the other thing I want to say, and then we'll take questions, is who do you know? So all of you have these gifts that you were born with, that you were born to develop. You came here for this purpose. And so many of our members will benefit just like they do from Dr. Gloria. And so what we're doing each week is Dr. Gloria is going to come on every third week, and I'm going to have admin every third week. And then I'm going to have members every third week, at least for now, until we run out of admin who want to present. And so if you guys have a gift that you want to share that you think is going to help make our community's lives better, please send me an email. Okay. I will go ahead and put my email address in here right now. And then that way you guys can reach out to me, or you can send me a Telegram message. For some reason, I don't always see those, so email's better. And we would love to. I already have Dr. Vicky coming on. I have Dr. Jana, who's going to talk about gardening. She lives in Hawaii and she's big into farming and like replenishing the soil. So it's all good stuff. Okay, Deborah,
we
go
have
ahead.
Kelly. We have,
Yep, Kelly's coming up and Christine.
Kelly's
we have
coming
a lot.
on too.
Okay, Deborah, go ahead.
There's a lot of talk about the mouth microbiome, and
Yes.
I'm confused because my concern is if you're constantly doing hydrogen peroxide, which is killing everything, how do you balance that out? I can understand if you have an infection or an issue that you want to kill it dead, but once you've corrected the issue, then a lot of those mouthwashes and even possibly the oil pulling is antibacterial. So are you only getting the bad guys, or are you cleaning everything out and then you have to rebuild your mouth microbiome?
That's a fabulous question, Deborah. Thank you for asking that. It's just like your gut. You have to feed the bacteria, right? The microbiome, and you've got to be able to put the probiotics, the good bugs back in. But you're not going to use hydrogen peroxide every day. You're going to use it if you have a gum infection or a tooth that you jabbed with, something like I had a lady not long ago that was eating some Fritos and it jabbed her gum and got all infected. That's when you use it. You're not going to use it all the time. What you're going to use is the natural toothpaste and the tongue brushing, the tongue
Tongue
scraper. Thank you. The tongue scraper, in order to avoid that bacteria from building up. But if you do start, and that's a really good question, thank you, because if you do start where you have an infection and you've used something to kill it all, okay, it doesn't hurt once a week or so, depending on how severe it is, open a capsule of a high potency probiotic. After you brush your teeth and use your water pick or whatever, put it in a little bit of warm water, swish it around in your mouth and swallow it. And don't eat or drink anything for a half an hour afterwards. We used to do that when I was teaching the dental students. And so most people hopefully take a probiotic, and you should always rotate them. Don't take the same brand and the same potency all the time. But does that make sense? You just open a capsule and go ahead and just put it in a little water. But you want to make sure that you don't eat or drink anything, not even water, for at least a half an hour. So the best thing to do is do it before bed. Then all night, that good bacteria, like you were saying, is replenishing that healthy intestinal terrain, basically, is what it is, the microbiome. That's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up.
I've done that before, but I don't dilute it. What I do is after I brush my teeth and finish everything before bed, I put the capsule into my mouth and brush it in. Okay. So it is inside and I don't dilute it and rinse it out. And then that way I go to bed and all of that stays in my mouth. Well, I'm sure I've swallowed some of it.
Okay, now that's another way you can do it. But did you sterilize your toothbrush before you did that? No.
See, I always do something wrong. No, but that's a great idea. I need to do that.
It's not about being wrong. It's about being educated. That's where health through education comes in.
Right.
It's not about being wrong. It's about not being told what's right.
Well, so I learned so much.
If you sterilize, if you sterilize your toothbrush, and you know what I do, my toothbrush sits in a little yogurt cup, you know, those glass yogurt cups. It sits in there in peroxide all the time. That's where I keep it. And about every second day, I just empty it out, rinse it, and put some more peroxide. So your toothbrush is always sterilized. Don't put it in the dishwasher with dishwasher soap like some people do, because that's toxic. But use a little juice glass or a little yogurt container and stick your toothbrush in there. It's the best way to keep it. It fits in your medicine cabinet. It does in mine. It's a little tiny glass. I think it's OI or one of those fancy brands, you know, that comes in a glass container. I bought the stupid thing just for the container. I don't even like their yogurt.
Okay, I will not put my toothbrush in the dishwasher anymore then. I promise.
Have you been doing it?
No.
Uh-huh. No. Okay.
Okay, let's get going. It's after 12. Rose, you're next. Go ahead, Rose. Unmute.
Hi. I had only in the last year 9 rotten teeth, and 2 of them I had to have the nerve pulled out. Now that's a lot of anesthesia jabs, and 1 tooth was so bad I needed 6 jabs before she could work on this. I didn't feel anything. Now I heard that the dentist jabs for anesthesia contain graphene oxide. What can I do about that?
Wow. See, and I can't honestly give you an opinion, because when I was in dentistry, they didn't contain that. That's something new. But a lot of them contained mercury.
They do now.
They do now. Yeah, I've heard that too, but I haven't done the research on it, hon, to give you a really honest scientific answer. But it doesn't surprise me, because I've heard that that's what they're doing. So to get the graphene oxide out, you really have to do a whole protocol for detox. And that would take a medical food and a lot of other things that I can't share, because that would be giving medical advice.
I'll tell you.
The one thing that you can do, okay, wait, let me make one thing. If you clean out your liver, you're doing yourself the best favor you can. And I can tell you that just plain old milk thistle that you can buy in a health food store, make sure it's organic, is the best herb to clean the liver. And so it's not, don't buy it in a combination. Buy it just plain old organic milk thistle. And start out slow. If you've had all that anesthetic or a lot of infections, or you take a lot of medication, start out with 1 capsule a day. And then you can work up to maybe 1 3 times a day to get all that junk out of your system. That isn't guaranteed to get it all out, but at least you're making a headway on it. It's going to reduce it. Okay, because your liver is the chemical processing plant. Go ahead.
And
Tracee.
and what I would do is Google up Dr. Carrie Madej, her detox bath formula. Because
that's a good formula.
I'm putting it in the chat right here so you guys can see.
I'm in Europe.
It's Majid, isn't it? Isn't it Dr. Majid?
I thought it was this way. Madej. Can anybody confirm? Am I spelling her name right?
It's spelled right, and it's pronounced Carrie Madej.
Madej. Okay, thank you, sweetie.
Madej. Okay.
So that she has a detox bath formula. So I would look at that.
Okay.
Yes, that's a great way to do it. Yeah.
I have one more question. My whole gums, my whole mouth is inflamed. Now I've been using hydrogen peroxide for weeks, and it's got a bit better, but it hasn't disappeared. And I've been using it twice a day.
Have you gone like this?
Okay. Yeah. Have you gone like that with your device?
I haven't got it yet.
Darn.
Oh, okay. When you do, you need to do what Tracee's suggesting. It's difficult for me to say because a lot of that inflammation is coming from toxins in the body, like mine was. Mm-hmm. You know, I had the fibromyalgia, I had all those other inflammatory disorders, and it was coming from my teeth, but we didn't know it at the time. So, and after my accident, so it was a combination of all kinds of horrible things that happened all within a short period of time that caused the terrible soft and connective tissue pain. So I would say, watch what you're doing internally. Don't eat any foods that ignite inflammation. Stay away from anything like gluten that we know causes inflammation. And make sure that you don't eat fast food, because if you're eating nitrates and sulfites and food coloring and all of the additives and preservatives, you're not. What country are you in, Rose?
Austria.
Where are you?
I have Austria.
You're in Austria.
I have a very, very, very strict healthy diet because I'm diabetic. So I've cut out. I'm almost vegan. Okay. I don't eat anything that has gluten in it. I don't eat sugar. And you
don't buy processed food, or?
I don't eat processed food. No. So I keep away from all of them. I have done for a long time.
Okay. I can't answer that, hon. I wish I could, because there's too many other contributing factors, you know, to what's going on in your mouth and maybe what is still the underlying cause. But don't use the hydrogen peroxide every day for long term, you know, because just like was brought up, you're going to kill all the good bacteria. So you're going to need to use a probiotic in order to replace that good army of ours in the microorganisms. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rose.
Okay. Thanks, Rose. Trudy.
Hi. Since I was a child, I was always at the dentist. I mean, seriously, always at the dentist. So I had all of the mercury fillings, and they're still there because who has had the money to get them out? I never had dental insurance, never had the money. So they just extracted a virgin tooth from my mouth because it broke in half, and I had no idea how this happened. I ended up getting an abscess, and then they took it out. And then the dentist, the hygienist says, "Oh, please don't use hydrogen peroxide in your mouth." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I ignore some of these people, to be honest with you. So I let them say what they need to say, and I go, "Oh, okay." And I do my thing. I have used peppermint oil all the time. I mean, it was the only thing that took pain away. And I did have some clove oil, but
okay, Trudy, stop for a minute. Peppermint oil does take the pain away, but clove oil does better. Okay. And it won't hurt any homeopathics if you're taking any. Okay?
I'm not taking
clove
any
oil
most anything I take. Well, I do now know what you said. I usually wait 30 minutes to an hour after I use any kind of mint, because my mouth
you still shouldn't, hon.
Okay.
Yeah. Use some clove oil instead. But go ahead. One more question.
Oh, okay. So I don't have them out. I don't have those mercury things out. So obviously they're still in my body and they're still having an effect, I'm sure, on something. you know. But and I kept thinking when I get in the Q arc, I'm going to get new teeth, you know.
There's that. Yeah. That's
But
gonna happen.
the Novocaine, every time I have to have one out, they have to put so much Novocaine into my mouth because it's hypersensitive now from all this years. And I mean, it takes hours to get this stuff unnumb. And so, but I still have that crap in my body, you know?
Okay, Trudy, let's talk about how to help that crap in your body get out. Okay, that's not going to cost you a bunch of money. Again, what I said to our member a minute ago, remember that without cleaning out the liver, which is our chemical processing plant, nothing else works to its full efficiency. Okay. So you can do the same thing. It doesn't cost much. It's, I don't know, I think the last bottle I bought was $8 for organic milk thistle. Okay. But start slow, because when you've had all that in your mouth all those years and the anesthetics, and did they give you antibiotics? Did you take them?
I took it before I had the tooth out because it was abscessed. It got all abscessed.
Okay. Okay. So here's a good lesson for everybody. When you took the antibiotic, because it was needed, obviously, you had an abscess. Did you take a probiotic afterwards for twice the amount of time you took the antibiotic?
Absolutely.
You did. So see, if you take an antibiotic for 7 days or 14 days or whatever, they say twice as long. I say a month. If you take an antibiotic for a week, you need a whole month of probiotics afterwards. Because anti means anti-life. So that means it's killed all the good bacteria in your body and in your gut, which is where your second brain and your immune system is based. Or at least 70% of it is. And so if you don't replace that, you're going to be sick 6 to 8 weeks later again. Right. And you're never going to go back to think that it was the fact that you killed all the good soldiers, all the good bacteria. So if you do have to, in a case like that, take an antibiotic, wait till you finish the antibiotic, wait 24 hours after the last dose, so it's all out of your system, and then take a month of a good high potency, either 100 billion or 150 billion if you can find it. Some of those are prescription. And not from your MD, because he won't know what it is. Probiotic. It's a capsule. You take one a day for 30 days. That's all you need. And then you're giving all that good bacteria back into the microbiome, or into what we call your intestinal terrain, to build up your immune system again. Okay. So Trudy, work on your liver. Okay. Don't worry about anything else. God willing, our bed is coming soon, our do-over. But, work on your liver, because that's what you have to do now, so that you can start slowly, little by little, reducing the toxic burden. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
And there is a heavy metal detox smoothie recipe that I will share with this replay. Okay? So it basically...
Well, I use a lot of coconut oil all the time, too.
Cilantro. This is a good recipe. So just stay tuned. I will get that out.
Based.
All right. I love cilantro.
Yeah.
It's a really good smoothie. It's amazing. So I'll share that recipe with you.
It's called a chelator. It chelates
chelates
the toxic heavy metals out of your body. Yeah, chelates it.
I'll use it.
Cilantro's one of the best for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
We got to finish up. Thank you, Trudy. Jorgen, go ahead. You're up.
I have 2 questions. If I remember right, in 2011, I bought H2O2 from Canada, USA, 30% and diluted. I was visiting Gabriel Cousins' Tree of Life in Arizona, and he's raw vegan, and he used it for soaking all his vegetables. But it was so expensive. Do you know anybody? I couldn't find it in Europe. So I would love to get...
I'll tell you what to use. Nah, you don't have to spend all that money. Anything I buy, even if it's organic, you don't know who handled it. Even if it's wrapped, you don't know who handled it beforehand. Write this down. You use equal amounts of hydrogen peroxide and white distilled vinegar.
Yeah, but I can't buy.
So if you have a gallon of water in your sink, okay, which is what I do. I have a little dish pan I use because I have a sink that's huge. And just if you've got a gallon of water, then use about a half a cup of vinegar, white distilled vinegar, and a half a cup of hydrogen peroxide. You can soak them for 15 minutes and then wrap them in paper towels and put them in your, refrigerator drawer and rinse them really well just before you eat them. The other thing you can use is baking soda. It'll neutralize pesticides, but baking soda will not kill bacteria, where the vinegar and the peroxide does.
Thank you.
Does that help you?
But no.
You're welcome. And it's so, buy the big gallons. It's, Costco has the big gallons of the vinegar. It's so easy to do. And hydrogen peroxide, just equal amounts.
Use hydrogen peroxide for food grade, and I can't buy it in Denmark. So I use CDS now. Otherwise, I all my water is reverse osmosis with mineral, and I have active.
So you're in Europe. You're in Europe now.
I'm in Denmark.
You're in Denmark. Okay, I know Denmark well. Wow.
Yeah.
So you can't get what now? You can't get the hydrogen peroxide?
On the pharmacies, but that's not good. I would only use for food grade, and I can't buy. But I use CDS, the chlorine dioxide. It's one of the best thing for bacteria and virus.
Right.
And but I would love to get, as I said in 2011, I visited Gabriel Cousin, Tree of Life, for 5 weeks. He's a raw vegan. He's very, very skilled doctor.
Yep.
And I bought it that time, but it was
you have to be able to find some somewhere. I bought it when I was in London. Have you thought of taking a train ride? Take a long weekend, come back with suitcases full of hydrogen peroxide.
If anybody knows in Europe, it would be very nice to know. Then I will buy it again. And the second question, Tracee, is it possible to download the chat? Normally, when I Zoom, it's possible to download the chat. I think you can control it.
I don't know how to
Tracee,
do that.
Can you download the chat?
Yeah, no. When I make Zoom call with.
But this is recorded. Is that what you're referring to? Is this particular chat, or you're referring to the blog?
All the comments in the chat we normally can download it. I think you can control it. I cannot. I'm only a participant, but I know it's possible to download the chat. Maybe I do it with connected consciousness.
It says it's enabled that you can download it.
Okay, then I need to find it.
Oh.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, let's take another question or two because we're running late here.
Yeah, we're running way late. Linda, and then Harrison, and then we're done.
Quick. This goes back a little bit, but the lemon milk, the recipe that you start with 32 ounces, are you to drink that all in one day?
Well, it fills up one of these jars.
Right.
So, yeah, you can, or you can drink half and save it. It doesn't matter. But like any fresh food, it's always best to be consumed quickly. But I have saved it for the next day when I don't finish it.
Okay. And the same with the golden milk.
Are you talking about the golden? You're talking about the golden milk, right?
That was the lemon milk.
No, the lemon. Okay.
Okay. So let me give you my trick with the golden milk. Now, when I've changed it the way I used to do it. I used to make it all in the, container, but now I make just the powder. I put all the powders in a jar, so I make it in bulk. And then I add a teaspoon at a time to my coffee or to a smoothie, whatever you want. But so I don't make it in the milk anymore. I just will mix it into either coffee or milk or tea or whatever I want to have it in.
Right. But if you did the 4
and I don't.
Go ahead.
If you what? The recipe, the way you did it, would you suggest just to drink 1 cup a day of the almond milk with that in there instead of all 4 cups?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't want to drink all that in one day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And let me tell you something very quickly here. I was telling Tracee, and I know we're running late, so if you have time, you can stay. If not, I understand. I always have 2 cups a day. I make enough in my Vitamix every morning. I'm addicted to it. But I was really busy yesterday. We taped 2 cooking shows. I was exhausted at the end of the day, and I didn't want to eat dinner. I didn't feel like it. So I took my other cup of my milk and warmed it and put some cinnamon on top. And I love eggnog. but I can't have it because it's bad for me with blood sugar and all the junk they put in it. It tasted just like eggnog. And I said to Tracee, that is my no eggnog. So try it. If you're making the golden milk, it's delicious. So I just had a nice hot cup, and it was very comforting. So if you make extra, you can have another one at night, kind of like your little cocktail. Okay. It's very healthy because of the anti-inflammatory ingredients. So it really is helpful if you can have 2 cups a day. Okay, Tracee, back to you.
Thank you. Actually, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll add a teaspoon in my evening tea that I have at night. Okay, Arison, you've got the last question, my friend. Oh, and then I have a quick announcement.
Go ahead, Arison.
The question is, you were talking about wisdom teeth a while ago. I still have all my wisdom teeth. I never had them taken out. And most children, they get their wisdom teeth taken out where they can straighten their teeth with the what's the benefit of that?
Braces
and
orthodontics.
And then the question, do you have a book, doctor? I mean, do you have you written a book of all this
on dentistry? I wrote a book on dentistry that is available only as an ebook because it's written in an 8.5 by 11. It was very expensive, so now I make it available. But you have to email me, and I will send you the PDF. The institute takes the money. I don't. My institute
actually
does. So yes, there's a dental book.
Actually, remember that Cynthia is going to put up all this on a website page because.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, you can do it how you want,
but books on a website.
Yeah, Cynthia.
No, it's harder because then I have to have the institute take care of it, and I've got to send it. And that's right. It's a very large book. It's a big, thick, textbook that I've used for dental schools, and it's got everything, including my own history and some ugly pictures of other patients. But it's a teaching book. So yes, I forgot that Cynthia was going to do that. She's offered to do that. She thinks it's valuable for all of you to be able to have access to it. I wasn't trying to push them. So that's a good question. Thank you. Yes, it'll be available.
Are you going to make a book? Are you going to make a book, Tracee, for all the cooking recipes you have?
Well, no, not now. I'm a
later.
But they are going to be all on the blog post, and we are coming up with a WoW page on the website so that any collateral that we discuss on the show, as well as all the replays, will have their own page on the website. It will be a super simple, clean page with just the video and links to download any materials that we have. And that is something we're working on right now. So, and what I would like to share with you.
To write another cookbook with all of it, but it's too expensive and time consuming.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What was that?
But Key is coming out with a workbook, and they have asked me to contribute. And a long time, well, not a long time ago, but a while back, somebody suggested that I take the hug videos and create like a little book out of them, like a healthy habit book with all the different hug lessons, at least the ones that are, I can do that on. And so those will be woven in and out of the Key workbook so that it's on paper. Some people like to consume information, with their eyes, and some people like to do the auditory. I'm a visual learner myself. So maybe that will help. So I'm working with Christine on that project right now. So it's all good, but so many things are happening, you guys. And I just want to thank Dr. Gloria for sharing her wisdom. Thank Peggy and Kelly for helping with moderating.
Yes.
And especially thanking you members who are making this decision to live and to live life to its fullest by just, really improving your habits right now and just taking it on. So I want to honor you all for that. And I just want to wish you a beautiful day. What would you like to say in closing?
I have a closing comment. I want to close on your comment. Remember that what Tracee and I have committed to do is to help you add more life to your years, not more years to your life. You might live longer, but if you're ill, what good does it do? So you're going to add more life to the years that you have by learning everything that all of us are sharing. And I learn as much from all of you as you do from us. So again, thank you. God bless and stay safe.
Awesome. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Okay. Thanks for coming.
You.
Okay,
Take
bye
care.
for now.
Bye-bye.